when I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I love to talk about, I've never been this worried as far as where the team's headed in a long time. I look at the players that they've traded, the players that they've let go. I mean, once again, interdivision. We'll start with James Harrison, a monster on the defense. Pittsburgh is always, always, always like the Chicago Bears. Had a great reputation on defense, and they've kept that reputation up. Now we see James Harrison has been allowed to be traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. We see a Troy Polamalu, who for the last couple of years, unfortunately, cannot stay completely healthy. He's flying all over the field and doing everything that Troy does, and it's catching up with him. Will it continue to? Who knows? I think more of on a spiritual sense. I think he's a godly man, and I think that he's going to have success, and he's going to be allowed to do the things that he does, jump the line, and do some of the other incredible things that God's given him the talent, and he'll continue to play hard. I think he'll be back for a full season next year, in my opinion. But there are some problems with Pittsburgh. They allowed their receivers to go. Mike Wallace is traded. I can't remember the team right now. I believe the Dolphins. Emmanuel Sanders. Ben Roethlisberger makes a pledge to the Rooney family to allow Emmanuel Sanders to stay. Obviously, that'll help because that receiver corps is absolutely the fastest in the NFL. Mike Wallace being the fastest of that group. But Pittsburgh is missing a lot of pieces, and there's a lot of holes in that team. Mm-hmm. And I haven't even hit on everything.
No, that's for sure. A couple games from the Steelers come to mind last year. They had a Monday Night Football game at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs were a disaster last year.
It was like watching paint dry.
Well, the Chiefs.
I remember the game.
The Chiefs' offense was a disaster, but in this game, the Chiefs came to play. The Steelers looked like they didn't have to show up for the game, and the Steelers were lucky to win 13-10 in overtime or something like that.
I recall the game very well.
But then not long after that, they went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens after being way down, but they lost a home game to the Ravens, which was one of these games with maybe one touchdown scored total, or maybe it was another 13-10 game.
A typical defensive battle between the Ravens and Steelers.
Yeah, and those two teams have had those over the years, but I just saw that the Steelers' offense has fallen apart. They lost at Cleveland last season. And they haven't lost at Cleveland or to Cleveland since Eisenhower was president.
I was gonna say it's been a while, but don't you think? I mean, as far as looking at the Steelers, they've always been a team that's been able to get very good players and to develop very good players. And have you ever seen so many holes in the Pittsburgh Steelers I haven't even touched on the running game. Rashard Mendenhall, I believe, their starting running back who they couldn't keep healthy, he's no longer with the team. They traded for a Redskins running back that I'm trying to remember right now in the offseason, who's supposed to be their starting running back. That's not the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a blue-collar representative directly of Pittsburgh in the identity of Pittsburgh that play smash-mouth football. They have always had a good, strong, big running back, a Jerome Bettis, a Franco Harris. Who's going to play that part? They've always had pretty decent receivers. Hines Ward's retired, folks. And the defense has aged, and that's the biggest conversation we've had in the last couple of years. Everyone's talking about them having the oldest average age of defense. What's going to happen with these guys?
Well, along with age, you get experience, and experience will go a long way in the NFL because, a quick mistake, a mental mistake, you can give up a touchdown, and whereas ordinarily, if you don't have the mental mistake, the team might have to go out a 15-play drive to get the same touchdown. You make a mental mistake and you give it to them in one play.
Right.
So experience is always a plus, but the trade-off there is that the NFL takes a huge toll on the body, and after a dozen seasons, you just can't get up in the morning and move as well.
I mean, do you think? I mean, let's talk about these guys. Do you think Larry Foote? Do you think Ryan Clark? Maybe he's probably one of the youngest on the team. Troy Polamalu. Some of these other guys on the defense. Max Stark. These guys are over 30 years old. It was a good defense. We'll see if Pittsburgh's going to get young enough. I think they're going to have to start a lot of rookies. but it's going to be interesting where they're going